An armed escort to the Afghan border?
Play the theme music. Hello and welcome to this episode of Tripology. I'm Alan and I'm here with the ever undercover Adam.
5 seconds in and you've already blown my cover.
Yeah, well, that's my prerogative, man, because I don't like all the sneaking around that we've been doing of recent.
I know, I feel like we have snuck around a little bit, or at least made to feel like we've been sneaking around.
Yeah, well, there's stories within that sentence, aren't there? And we're here to share them with you, the tripological audience, because we decided to leave the safe haven, the amniotic space, which was Islamabad.
Yeah, super clean, really well organised city. Breath of fresh air, fair to say?
A breath of very, very fresh air, going from some of the more polluted cities in the world to lovely haven of Islamabad, where the people were friendly and the air was clean.
We've been told by friends in the industry that Peshawar, sort of west of Islamabad, was a bit more sort of gritty, almost like old Afghanistan town, and it would be quite cool to check out.
Some people told us that Peshawar was the best city in the whole country.
So we weren't going to give it a miss, were we?
No, we certainly weren't. Well, I only heard of Peshawar from the infamous Peshawari naan,
which I thought contained coconut.
But I informed you that my only perception of a Peshawari naan, it's just like a plain naan, if you can imagine such a thing, with the inclusion of raisins.
Either way, quite a sweet version of a naan bread.
Sweetness coming from those very dry grapes.
And spoiler alert, we had quite a few naan breads while we were in Peshawar, and none of them included raisins or coconuts.
Not even one of those things. And what I found was the word Peshawari doesn't make no sense because it is Peshawar.
Yeah, but what do we
Peshawari?
What do we know in the West?
Well, yeah, we allied A's. We removed the A from the word Peshawar to make this odd little sound, Peshawari.
But it was a good old trip, wasn't it? It's a good old trip getting there. I enjoyed getting there with you.
Well, I mean, preparation was the name of the game, because I think we're good travellers, but sometimes we tend to run things a little bit on the winging it side of things, right?
Did we wing it from time to time?
Sometimes we wing it from time to time, and sometimes that can be a good thing, but unfortunately, do you remember that time just recently where we had to be homeless in Ahmedabad?
Oh, yeah.
We wanted to avoid that this time, so I went to great lengths to book us a hotel prior to arriving in Peshawar.
Yeah, called the Comfort Inn. What could possibly go wrong?
I found a great deal. Went on the Comfort Inn's official website.
Yeah.
Gave a load of details, including my father's birth name.
Yeah, your nationality, important.
Yeah, what sort of sports am I interested in?
Really?
Lots of things like that. Just an overview of me as a personality, a psychological profile.
Fantastic.
Filled in all the details, submitted it to the Comfort Inn, and received post-haste booking confirmation.
From memory, you got 2 booking confirmations.
I screenshotted the one that the website took me to, and then I received a subsequent email.
Okay.
This will become relevant later on. The two of us hopped into a minivan.
We did. Fun journey it was. Just a little, 8 of us in the back, ripping down the road towards Peshawar?
There was a man to the left of us. He was working on an Excel spreadsheet the entirety of the journey.
Yeah, he's a medicine graduate or something.
You had a little chat with him?
Yeah, really, really sweet guy.
That's nice.
Making friends on a bus.
Yeah.
And then we were able actually to be dropped off outside said hotel, which is quite unusual because usually with these things there are a few drop-off points, aren't there? Usually places of interest or a major bus stop or something like that. But we liaised with the guy next to us, who informed the driver that we needed to be dropped off just by the side of the motorway opposite our hotel. He obliged, we nipped out, and then that's when it started falling apart.
Straight to the door, though, but that is a result as a traveller, isn't it? So often, you're on these night buses or whatever, you get up, it's early, you need to find your way then from the stop to the door of the hotel. It's a real horror show, but this, to be dropped off at the door of the hotel, I thought absolutely amazing. Me and you have crushed it here.
Yeah, you know what, I just want to take this moment to say something quite sort of honest. We
I love you.
Still got the shades on, love it. But what I wanted to say was, I still even though I'd been in Islamabad for 4 days, had wonderful experience, really eye-opening, breaking down these sort of stereotypes, lovely, lovely, warm, welcoming, kind, generous people.
Yes.
We are now much closer to the Afghan border. You do hear that there is some trouble there. And I just didn't feel like I was in the right headspace to be walking around for hours on end in a town that we didn't know with all of our stuff. So being dropped off right outside the hotel is sort of a godsend, because I really want to be this open-minded, accepting traveller that knows that the people on the ground are just living their normal lives and they want to help you and stuff. But still at the back of my mind, I'm sure there's people that can relate to this, you do have this niggling feeling where you're like, oh, what if though?
Well, right. So you expressed your concern to me about security.
Yeah.
You said, is it okay that we're going to Peshawar? I've heard they do crazy things with the naan bread. Do you think it's going to be okay? And do you think I was A, supportive, B, complacent, or C, downright dismissive of your security concerns?
No, I think you were supportive, but also educative.
Okay.
Yeah. I felt like I was in good hands with you, and you sort of said, look, the chances are absolutely...
I'm a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. In the event of some cataclysmic terrorism, a rear naked choke, perhaps.
Yeah. Have you said, Adam, have you not seen what we're wearing?
No.
It's basically camouflage.
Well, but what I did say was, listen, Adam, Peshawar is a place that has undergone some struggles in the past.
Yeah,
you know, there's some difficult things that have happened in the history of the Peshawari people. Sometimes, you know, notably there was a terrible incident in 2014 with Pakistani Taliban. That was like a recent, like, big event that changed feelings in the City of Flowers. Yeah,
sure, right.
But things have changed since then a lot.
Yeah.
Now it's considered one of the safest cities in Pakistan.
Yeah,
and things are really kind of. I think we'll be absolutely fine.
And in fairness, every local that we'd spoken to said you will be fine.
Yeah, not only that, but I had also been online and read accounts from Pakistani people within Peshawar saying, we really want foreigners to come here. We really wish that we didn't have this reputation. Things like that terrible attack. Like some there are ongoing incidents that happen towards the Afghani border side, but it is overblown by the media. And I wish people kind of took more notice of what we're saying now, which is that we want people to come here.
Yeah, appreciate that. So it felt much better.
I relayed that info to you.
And we were just a stone's throw from the hotel.
Yes. Now, I say all that because I do think it's important for the audience to know that we weren't complacent and unknowledgeable. We didn't just come to Peshawar without any understanding of the situation there. We went there because we understood that there were certain risks, but also that we wanted to see for ourselves and felt it was safe enough to do so.
Yeah, and we took certain precautions and made smart decisions, I think.
Yeah, and we were interested in Peshawar. So there we were, off the bus, straight by the hotel, walked through the door of the hotel. Hello, sir. I have a reservation. Unfortunately,
he was well surprised.
He was a reservation for two foreigners here in Peshawar.
I don't fucking think so.
Not only do you two not have a reservation, but this hotel ain't even allowed to house foreigners.
Yeah, it was a bit of a wake-up call, really, because I thought we were just going to check our bags in and then go for a little wander, maybe get some food, but that plan went right out the window.
Well, I showed him the reservation on my phone, and he said, that ain't a reservation from this hotel. That's a third party. I said, I've played hotel chess before, sir. I've also taken a screenshot from your official website. Yeah. He said, gotta be honest, that feels a lot like checkmate.
Yeah, that is our official website.
That is our official website, and it really appears that you do have a booking. Unfortunately, unlike chess, whereupon my king can't move, here's a special move I call F the game of chess. We still can't have foreigners in this hotel.
Yeah, I hold my hands up. I was doing absolutely F all to help the situation. I was just sitting down on the sofa, wasn't I, waiting for...
You nearly turned invisible.
It's that camouflage.
You blended into the walls. Like, it was amazing to watch. No, but I ended up phoning his boss, having quite a debate with him on the phone. I said, well, look, we're two foreigners here in Peshawar.
Yeah.
And we've come directly to our hotel. Like, what are we going to do? You surely have an obligation to house us.
You really couldn't have done more. Because the reason why we left Islamabad and had arrived at a hotel was because you had a genuine official booking from their website. We didn't think anything was going to go wrong. You put your nationality on the form and everything. You really couldn't have done any more. Had we not got the booking, we would have had to, do something different or maybe change the plan. I don't know.
I felt it was quite jarring, Adam, because we've been so looked after and treated so hospitably.
Yes.
By all the Pakistani people, to the point where it's been difficult to pay for things, difficult to ride in taxis and pay the fee at the end because people have been so kind to us. So then to have this little bit of complacency, it filled me with fear. Well, no, I was just a little bit perturbed by it. But luckily, he said, there's a place down the road that will take you.
Yeah, and it was literally down the road as well. So a bit of a back and forth on the phone. You did really well, but unfortunately...
What was the best thing I said? Do you remember any quotes from me during the phone call?
I liked the fact that I can't remember a direct quote, but I think you asserted yourself into the conversation. You said, look, you are obliged to do something for us because we've booked something here, and
we are but children, frightened here in Peshawar. No, I think it was good because the next hotel was super, super friendly. They understood. They offered us a good price.
Yeah, they were really, really helpful, amazing. I'm sure we're not the first foreigners to roll through the door without a booking, and they helped us out. They were lovely. They were kind of lads our own age, weren't they? And didn't speak the best English in the world, but we managed to get through using Google Translate. And we shared a bit of food with them and stuff. They were lovely. They looked after us for 3 days.
They certainly did. I think it's worth mentioning that first night in that hotel.
Yeah.
Because we were exhausted from a day of travel from Islamabad.
Yeah. Not only were we exhausted, we were also trying to save money.
Yeah. So we made an executive decision, the tripology team. We said, let's just go non-AC. We don't need AC.
Yeah.
A fan will do the trick.
Yeah, we don't need AC. We're fine. We'll have a non-AC room with a big fan, dial it up to 11 or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
We love to complain about the heat on the podcast anyway.
Yeah.
This will be nothing but content. So we checked into the room, thought not much of the fact that it was sweltering hot inside, had our respective showers, bunkered down for the night. That room, over the course of the next hour, became so oppressive. The fan was generating more heat than it was displacing.
I think that's what was happening. I remember saying to you at one stage, the tingling sensation I have on my skin is akin to sunburn.
It heated up so much.
It was like a sauna.
It was crazy. I said to Adam, I think this is a bridge too far. And Adam said, come on, we'll get through it. We'll manage here. Yeah,
it's only one night and then we'll check into an AC room tomorrow.
And then there was a moment of silence. And then we were like, this is ridiculous, though.
Yeah, this is like, what have we done? It's sort of like an endurance test or something. What is the actual...
It was like a Japanese game show.
Yeah,
where
we're talking about a couple of dollars and the next 8 hours we might be able to get some sleep as opposed to getting absolutely zero sleep and risking our health.
How many showers did I take?
6.
Did you count?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it was about 6.
I mean, that might sound mental, OCD, bizarre.
Yeah.
But I was dripping into the mattress.
It was survival instinct at that point.
Yeah. My mattress started weighing so much, the floor underneath it was starting to crack because it was just full to the brim of sweat. I was drinking, I was then showering because I can't sleep this sodden wet. So I would shower to try because the only source of cool in the whole room was the water coming out of the tap. So I would try and shower to get a little bit cool, then run back into bed, try and sleep.
It's funny because within a couple of minutes of getting out the shower, freezing cold shower, as cold as you can get it, and then you're wet for a bit afterwards, aren't you? And then you can almost feel the wet from the water of the shower turn into your own sweat, and then you think, oh, now I'm just perspiring.
Is this water or is this sweat?
Yeah.
That's the sort of questions I was asking myself.
It really, really wasn't fun. And in the end, we just couldn't bear it anymore, could we? There was another moment of silence and then just sort of said, we really, I know it's 11 o'clock, but we need to go downstairs and change into an AC.
Oh, you took initiative there and you really led the team. There's moments where one of us steps up to the board, and this was a moment where I think I was completely naked. You did all the admin with me still completely nude. You went downstairs, you sorted out another room. We migrated just one room across. It was like a beautiful little icebox, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was. We ended up getting some sleep, thank goodness, even though the AC wasn't fantastic.
But little were we to know.
Yeah.
after a lovely night's sleep in what can only be described as one of the coolest rooms in all of Peshawar, the day subsequent was about to get real crazy.
Oh, yeah. It got a little bit mental.
And all of that after a brief meditation break. Whoa there, we need to talk to you about where you're listening to this podcast.
Tell me everything.
Well, we recommend listening to Tripology over at Pocket Casts.
I've been listening to my podcast on Pocket Casts and I love it.
Yeah, you like the app, do you? Is it because it's chock full of features like pairing seamlessly with Alexa and making proper curated podcast listening cues?
It looks fantastic and it's easy to use.
Yeah, it's podcast listening turned up to 11. Pocket Casts. Like an icy blast forced out from within an air conditioning unit, allow your conscious mind to return into your brain as we talk about day 2 in Peshawar.
Yeah, we were looking forward to it. We wanted to get out and explore. We didn't really know said rules. That'll all become clear shortly. But we went out for a nice walk, grabbed some food, didn't we?
Straight off the bat, we were out on the streets of Peshawar and having a good time. Yeah. We explored the bazaar. Yeah. We just fit in like nobody's business here. I think they think we're Patang, which basically is just means that we look like we're from here, just like a lighter skinned Pakistani.
Well, the first port of call was to go and get some money out at the local ATM, which if you are travelling to Pakistan, just bear in mind, not every ATM works with European bank cards.
True.
So we went down to get some money from Standard Chartered, which was in sort of the centre of the town, wasn't it?
Have you been paid by them?
No, not at all. Or any other bank, but it's not any other bank. I have to say that.
Yeah.
And we went for a coffee as well, didn't we?
Well, we tried to go to a coffee.
We tried to go to a coffee.
This was maybe the first sign of Peshawar being a little bit different from Islamabad from my perspective, apart from the hotel situation, because we went past a security checkpoint on the way for a coffee and we basically told we had to wait for 10 minutes while they went through our documents.
Yeah, so it's essentially like armed guards that have got barriers across the road and kiosks and stuff.
Yeah.
And the area is like quite close to the airport, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's high security around there. And the guys were really, really nice. I mean, they're fucking big guns, but they were very, very pleasant.
Yeah, you were very pally with them. I think I was a little bit more like, come on, just check your passport, check us and let us go.
Yeah, we're going for a coffee.
Yeah, we are going for a coffee. 10 minutes to check my documents, ring the hotel.
They had your phone, didn't they?
Seemed excessive, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I was maybe a little bit defensive.
Well, wait, hang on. 10 minutes turned into an hour. We were there for a long time.
Were we there for an hour?
Yeah, it was a while, wasn't it?
Goodness me.
And then eventually they waved us on our way. We walked around and the coffee shop entrance was actually a completely different side of the fucking city.
It's completely,
we couldn't get in.
Didn't go to plan in that regard. But the real takeaway from me was that it seemed perfectly safe and fine moving around Peshawar, but that was an unusual incident. And it became more unusual when I looked at my phone and saw a litany of texts from our hotel manager.
Yeah.
Saying, where are you?
Yeah.
Where have you gone?
Yeah.
You two cannot be walking around Peshawar on your own.
I think he even quoted the bazaar specifically, didn't he? Didn't he say something about the bazaar? He said you
this
shouldn't
is
go
bizarre. Your behaviour is bizarre. Don't go to the bazaar. Come back to the hotel.
How bizarre.
Yeah.
In a voice note. It was really crazy.
Yeah, it was really wild. So we went back to the hotel.
Yes.
We spoke to him. We said, what's wrong? I'm sorry. And he said, listen, if you're going to go around, you've got to have an armed security detail.
Yeah, an armed guard to escort us around everywhere we go, which sounds excessive.
Yeah, it sounds really excessive. Now, I didn't like this idea. Let me tell you for why.
Go on.
I think at that time, I knew and realised that having armed security would just bring more attention to us than we were slipping around quite anonymously.
I think that is without doubt. Yeah, surely more and more people are going to look at us if we're going around with a Pakistani guy with a rifle.
And I also think that I felt really safe moving around Peshawar. And I understand that there's geopolitical, complex terrorism stuff that has the potential to happen in the region that I'm not aware of and not 100% clued up on. I don't want to pretend like I know better than them about what's safe or not safe. Obviously, I don't. But I also have it on good faith from Peshawari people that we probably didn't need an armed security detail to move around the region. Not saying it's not completely... I'm not saying it's not unsafe.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's completely safe. I think that it was excessive.
Yeah, I mean, we had walked around for a good few hours in areas that we were told were potentially dangerous for foreigners, and people weren't even like double taking us. Some people didn't even look at us. It was very different to, you know, how our experience of India was in certain areas, as we alluded to in previous episodes. So I thought from first-hand experience we were fine, but the fact that they were so concerned about our safety did sort of, alarm bells were ringing a little bit.
Yeah, and this whole thing led to, begrudgingly, us the next day going out with a free security detail consisting of 5 armed gunmen.
Yeah, from the local police force in the region.
Yeah.
So it was really, really quite surreal, actually, because we wanted to go to Jamrud Fort, which was built in the 1800s. I guess that the Khyber Pass there between Afghanistan and the Pakistan border, that area has been contested.
It's a hotbed.
Hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Old Silk Road trading route and all that sort of stuff. So it's not like that region hasn't seen a fair amount of trouble, even in recent years. It's an interesting fort to go to historically. It is much closer to the Afghan border.
Some would say 3 AKs, an M4 and a taxi driver might be a little bit excessive. There was even a point where we got change hands traded across the border of Peshawar and Jamrud.
Yeah, because the drive is like, what, an hour or something?
Yeah.
Maybe not even that, but we obviously ended, there was some sort of jurisdiction barrier.
Yeah, 45 minutes in, they were like, we can take you no further. You are now the property of the Jamrud
police force or whatever. They had bigger trucks, bigger guns, more men.
Yeah.
So we jumped in the truck with them, and we were escorted, and then sort of did the reverse on the way back. But
we quickly saw Jamrud Fort from the outside. Weren't allowed in because we were told we didn't have the correct papers. It was quite remarkable. We were told the gate, the Afghan gate.
Yeah, that was nice.
We saw an influx of Afghani immigrants. You know, it's like no, that's what it's known for. It's like it's like the route that some Afghani migrants came into Pakistan.
Sure, and there was this series of boards that were almost like set up for tourism, weren't there? Like lots of information about the recent history and that kind of thing, even the British being there.
Almost as if they wanted that gate and Jamrud Fort to be part of like a wonderful tourist attraction that people would come from all around the world to see. Yeah. But I reckon we might have been amongst the first 100 people to ever look at those signs because the protocol to get there was so crazy.
I mean, the experience for me was tainted somewhat, certainly as a tourist, when the head of the police force that was looking after us said, guys, we should get back in the car because this area really isn't safe for you.
He said that, and then he said, you can't go in your taxi anymore, even. You have to ride in the front of the police car with me.
Yeah.
So we got in, and he really just wanted to chat with us. He was like, I'm thinking about moving to the UK. Don't really like my job here.
Any chance
can I get you on WhatsApp? Maybe you can sponsor me for a visa.
He even started talking about him having a clean driving license.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. His father used to work in marketing. He was a sweetheart, wasn't he?
He was a beautiful man.
He was a really nice
guy. We had a good
guy.
chat with him. A chat/stroke job interview.
Yeah. I mean, can I just say that driving in the back of a really tiny banged up car on the way to Jamrud Fort with a police officer directly in front of us. So imagine this, guys, you've got a taxi driver, lovely gentleman that was earning a good wage out of us for the day.
Yeah.
In the front seat, elderly guy, mid-60s, 70, something like that, seemed really nice. Then Alan and me in the back, all cooped up. It was a tiny, tiny car. And then in the front, you've got who was actually quite a nice guy, very, very nice. Wasn't instilling fear in us at all.
No.
But he did have a whacking great gun just between his legs.
Big.
And
he certainly did.
He did. And
an AK-47 to
boot. But yeah, that was very surreal. It was difficult for me to kind of process or digest because I actually felt totally calm about it.
I was in a bad mood.
Yeah. Yeah,
and which is a shame. It's never good to be in a bad mood when you're traveling. But I love authenticity and freedom and all that stuff when traveling. And I just felt like a little bit of a guided tour with guns.
I mean, after already finding out that there are no raisins in the bread,
yeah,
this was just one thing after another.
I even said to you, to which you kind of laughed at and thought it was a bit ridiculous, but I said to you, like, it feels somehow like touristic. It almost feels like an odd show.
Yeah, I mean, my response to that was obviously it doesn't feel that touristy for me because the guy in front of me is holding an AK-47.
Yeah, but it just felt like this odd sort of like stage show of like, oh, you're in this region now where it's unsafe. And again, not saying it ain't unsafe, but this seemed like such a real display of like
Well, it was a bit all or nothing, wasn't it?
really all or nothing, especially considering we had moved around in the parts where they said it was unsafe yesterday and had no problems whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, having said that, there were checkpoints that we went through that we just got waved through.
Yes.
Because we were obviously being escorted by the
convenient from
police
that
/
perspective.
military. So
It all got too much for me, mate. When we stopped for lunch, we went to the mosque and had a walk around there, and then stopped and had lunch at a local place, a really cool open air thing.
Yeah.
And I went to the toilet. I just nipped off, went to the washroom.
Yeah.
Once I was done and dusted,
Mm-hmm.
went great. Thanks for asking.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
opened the door. One of the armed guards was standing outside my cubicle.
Well, I mean, I saw him as soon as you got up and walked to the toilet. I saw him get up, put his gun over his shoulder and walk behind you and escort you to the toilet. And it was really weird, actually. Do you remember even before that, they were trying to shepherd us inside so that we were indoors and therefore more safe as opposed to being outdoor in the open.
Yeah, they said open air is less safe.
Yeah, it was really quite surreal and over the top to the point where we were really questioning the motives behind the amount of security. But you know what I wanted to say, because I think this is quite a funny analogy. Even though we were constantly surrounded by guys with serious weaponry, I mean, really very serious guns.
Yeah,
I didn't feel like I was sort of in danger once.
I definitely didn't feel like I was in danger.
Yeah.
I did feel quite restricted. I felt like I don't know. I felt like I couldn't really get an authentic sense of Peshawar because we were so looked after.
Yeah, I also don't know if you remember, but we walked over the road one of our first days in Islamabad. We walked over the road at the same time as a guy walked across the road in the opposite direction, and he was just carrying an AK-47 in the same way you would carry like a bag of shopping or something, just swinging it with one hand. And I didn't bat an eyelid. It just felt so it was just fine. I didn't feel like I was being threatened or that he might turn the gun on me or anything like that. And the analogy I gave you was that if you went to a baseball game and you were there and there was the batsman was holding a baseball bat, you wouldn't once think, oh God, I hope he doesn't turn on me and start bashing my head in with the baseball bat.
Right, and you feel the same way about the possession of an automatic Kalashnikov 47.
Yeah, just seeing someone with that gun, I don't once think, oh, I hope they don't shoot me. It's just they've carrying a gun. That's it.
Yeah, well,
It's strange.
All this to say, I think that the people of Peshawar, maybe the people of Pakistan, are so hospitable and so kind and so sweet that I actually think a lot of the security and safety is just because they would hate so much for anything to happen to guests and foreigners.
Oh, in terms of public relations, it would be horrendous.
But I think that might be the reason for it. I think it's so zealous because they are so desperate for nothing to go wrong.
Yeah, you could be right. I mean, and also
I think it's more that than that they actually think something will go wrong.
Yeah, and even if it is sort of from a perspective of wanting to know where we are at all times, that could also be the case, couldn't it? It could be the same justification.
Yeah.
Just kind of keeping tabs on us, making sure they know where we are. I would say overall, I actually had a really enjoyable day.
Yeah, and that's maybe important to say as well without getting too educational on the show, is that like definitely I don't think stories like this should make people want to go to a place less. I think that maybe they should want to go to a place more. It's actually just evidence of hospitality. This police escort was completely free.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, look, it's not safe. Come on, pay us a bit of money and we'll look after you. It wasn't extortion.
No, you're right.
It was, we really want to look after you.
Yeah.
Please let us look after you.
And they were speaking to my sort of inner child, boy that I was when I was like 8 years old and playing with action men and stuff. Driving around.
Did you get a bit of a crush on them?
Well, I don't know. It was like it's pretty fucking
Army man.
It's pretty fucking cool, isn't it? Riding around in a big truck with the military.
It was cool. I wish I didn't see it so much as a restriction of freedom, and maybe was able to see the intent behind it and be like, oh, it's really beautiful that they're looking after us so well. Maybe that's a little lesson there for me.
Yeah, obviously there are serious things going on and serious reasons that we've kind of spoken about.
Yeah, of course.
Briefly, but it is. I think it's also fine fine to think it was pretty fucking cool.
And you and it was. And you quite rightly said there's probably a lot of stuff we don't understand as well. I mean, we try and read up and get educated about the places we are.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot that goes on in the city of flowers that we don't quite understand.
Yeah, it's important to do as much research as you possibly can about a region. But again, when things like this are reinforced, we're speaking to specifically the backpacking travel community here, you often know that the media in the West is not doing a great job of telling you what it's really like on the ground.
No job at all. I mean, it's a complete perversion of what actually goes on.
The people here have been exceptional.
It's almost crazy how kind everyone's been.
Yeah, we were bought breakfast and dinner yesterday.
True.
And it's like the way that it's delivered, like the exchange, it's like, no, don't be silly. You're my guest. Welcome to my country. We're so happy you're here and we just want you to enjoy yourselves. And I mean, where else does that happen?
Yeah, I'd actually say if you're seeking kindness and wonderful interactions with the locals, Pakistan might be, I mean, one of the main places I would recommend going.
I've never received this level of generosity and hospitality, really.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've been around, but it just feels like at every turn. It doesn't matter who you're with, whether they're elderly, whether they're young kids, whether they're, in the military or whether they're taxi drivers, whether they're working in a hotel. It's really such a lovely experience.
Yeah.
Really so grateful, honestly appreciative. I couldn't have been more wrong. And all of the ideas I had about Pakistan, apart from, speaking to friends in the industry who run travel blogs and have travelled here as well at length, obviously I respect their opinion and knew this was what it's probably like. But if you only go off the propaganda that's spouted by the Western media, you would never come to Pakistan.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get angry about it, man.
Sorry, that was a little bit strong.
No, it's not. Let's start a travel revolution. Everyone start coming to countries where people, they want people to come here and see it and visit. I think it's an absolute travesty the way people paint this part of the world in media. And I think that we should, as a community, be like, screw that. As travelers, we have the potent ability to go wherever we want to go, see whatever we want to see, and figure things out for ourselves. Why be spellbound and dumbstruck by this tacit, complicit news cycle that tells us, oh, these people aren't like you, they don't want to talk to you, they don't want to have interaction with you. Every single person, bar none, has been lovely to us.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's the real message of this show. And the journey continues, man. If you want to follow our adventures in Pakistan, then hey, you can listen to this podcast. It comes out every single week. And next week, we're heading to Chitral in the north. It's going to go off. It's going to go crazy. It's going to be really, really fun. Follow our adventures on Instagram, instagram.com/tripologypodcast. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/@tripologypodcast. And we have a Patreon.
Patreon.com/tripologypodcast. Also, send us an email if you can. tripologypodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. But now, let's head into next week.
We'll see you there.
Bye. Bye.